give them the plan. If they're good to look after it, then like if they're rehabbing here, I'll see them anyway. Like they'll be asking me questions, or I go for a night out and I'm talking about ACLs that's what always happens to me. But
Chats and Gym People, your conversational health and fitness podcast.
So today we're joined by the owner of Dungarvan's, let's say, hottest gym. He's also a physiotherapist. His name is Kenny Murphy, and he's taken time out of a busy schedule to join us. So Kenny, cheers for coming. How are you doing?
Good, all good.
Yeah.
Tired, but all good.
Good. Yeah, we're doing a late show today. It's 8 p.m.
Yeah, it's bedtime.
That's his bedtime. So the way I see this, we'll kind of talk about one, move, setting that up, how that whole process was. Then two, obviously the physio side of things, maybe your journey, then key things you think need to be like considered in physio and stuff like that.
Yeah. My setting up move was basically a long-term kind of a thing. Like when I started working in the area, I always had it in my head that I wanted to own my own gym and combine the physio side of things, rehabilitation side of things, with an actual open gym or a commercial gym that you can actually use. So I suppose when I started, I was out in Ringwood Keane then first. When I started with him, it was just basically like I was doing my programs, doing my rehab, and people then were joining other gyms to just do their own thing or follow my programs in other gyms. So eventually, as the name was kind of built up a lot better, I was after actually able to save a bit of money to kind of have capital to put into a business. That's when I said, look, I'll give it a go. And the first time I actually drew out something, it's going to sound weird now, but we were actually over in Vietnam. We were on holidays around Christmas time, myself and Rosie, and we were lying in the sand and we were just messing around. We were talking about it. I brought a little book like you have there, just writing ideas. And that's basically when I wrote the first business plan. Was just I went through pricing of memberships, what I needed, renting a unit, planning permission or change of use if I had to do that, insurance, overheads, price of staff, how many staff would you need, all that kind of stuff. So I just wrote loads of ideas down in the book. In the sand in Vietnam, I still have a picture of it at home. I drew out what the gym would look like, perfect square, whereas this is like a triangular base, So none of the square happened, but the things in the book happened, do you know what I mean? So it kind of came from an idea. When I got home then from that holiday, I actually emailed the fellow that owns this unit just for a view and just have a look at it. And I liked the unit, big unit, it had space that I wanted, but there was an awful lot of red tape then comes with it, So it's not as easy as you just say, I'll open a gym, flog a load of gym equipment in there and off we go, we start training. There's an awful lot to it. I had to change the use of the unit, so we went from being industrial to recreation. That's obviously for insurance as well. I built inside it, put in that mezzanine to create space. So the unit height is 9 meters. So I basically went up 5 and then you 4 above. So that created the open gym upstairs while we could create different spaces downstairs. Obviously downstairs then we have 2 gyms, one for S&C, the one we're in now, and one for classes. You have your toilets, you have 2 physio rooms in as well. So everything was basically about trying to create spaces for different realms of fitness, and then obviously try to make money and produce revenue then through your revenue streams. So it kind of started with a little idea, lots of saving then throughout the couple of years when I was thinking of it, and then just went about it, looking at the unit, trying to get a unit, and then went to the bank, had to go there with the business plan. Had to have a decent business plan going to try to get the money to start it up, on top of the money that you had to put into it yourself, your own savings. And then after that, I had to do planning permission to put in the mezzanine, because the mezzanine was more than half the size of the unit, so that was another 9 weeks. And then fucking COVID happened, So we were waiting for the planning permission to come in for the mezzanine to get the go-ahead. I had the unit in principle with the landlord, and we were actually in Amsterdam at the time. Myself, Rosie, for my birthday. She got me flights for her birthday, and we got the phone call. We got the planning permission. Happy days over in Amsterdam. We enjoyed ourselves, and then came home then, and it was all talk about COVID and lockdowns, and then that all happened. So that kind of put a halt to everything. But what it kind of gave us a kind of a chance. Okay, we knew we had planning permission. We knew we could kind of get going with the business. So we kind of just put the heads down, made sure we had everything kind of organised for ourselves, that the business plan was good, we had enough money to put into it, we had the gym equipment all kind of organised, how much we needed, what layout we kind of wanted, that type of stuff. So that basically once lockdown was over, which nobody knew what was going to happen, would gyms ever open again, because gyms were seen as COVID cesspits, people training and breathing heavily in around each other. So we basically kind of, once COVID kind of over, we just gave it the go ahead, ordered the steel for the mezzanine, organise it with carpenters and electricians and all that kind of stuff then to get going on it. So we basically ended up getting open in 2020, December 2020, open for 3 weeks and then closed down again for 6 months. So, but like throughout the whole thing, like even during the first lockdown, say, like I was off physio, stopped then for 8 weeks, like. So I kind of did a bit of online kind of thing at that stage. Did loads of courses, reading books, read a lot of business books actually at that time. Did business courses to just learn about business. So I knew something about it anyway. And then when I was able to go back physio, I was able to go back working after about 8 weeks. So when that happened, all that was in my head was just make as much money and save as much money as I could, like. So any fella that looked for physio got a session, and he got a session very quickly, like. And it was saying, a physio is essential service, so people kind of wanted things just to go and do. Like physio session was nearly like a day out for most people to drive from town out to Ring 20 minutes. They were nearly doing loops around, like. So, that's kind of where the mindset went. It went to just while there was lockdown, nothing else happening. I just decided, look, we'll just try and get as many clients in as can, make as much money, save as much money as possible. And then we got the go ahead anyway to start all this. Opened December 20, lockdown then for 6 months, closed up. Whereas myself and Ross here, like Ross Physio as well, the two of us could keep going, keep working. So we just tried to do as much as we could to kind of keep the doors open, keep the overheads, rent especially, that we could keep kind of paying them until the lockdown finished and we could actually open properly. Like. But the same thing, that brought its own headaches in, because once that finished then, you could have classes, but everyone had to be 2 meters apart, and we could only have X amount of people inside the gym at one stage. You had to book in. People then weren't booking in, just arriving at the door. We were supposed to send them away. There was a lot of headaches around that time. So it's actually gone way easier since all that COVID stuff kind of faded away for the better. And like we're just able to just leave people kind of work away, and our class numbers are up and gym memberships are up and everyone's going okay now.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, you probably couldn't have had a rockier start starting it off.
The other side of things, like you probably wouldn't afford it now either, like. So the price of materials have all gone up massively since then. That was since Brexit then as well, like. So we probably wouldn't be able to afford the steel that we put in here. At the time. There's 30 ton of steel inside there, like. Do you know what I mean? So we probably wouldn't be able to afford that now anyway. So it was actually a good time in terms of pricing with materials, but a bad time in terms of getting people in because of COVID.
But as well, did COVID kind of give you time to actually build out the unit too?
Yeah.
Because the way you wanted to put in that mezzanine and stuff.
Yeah. So gyms weren't actually allowed reopen until the 1st of December. So we got open the 12th. So we were trying to get open for the 1st of December. Big push on electrics and walls and all that kind of stuff just to get everything built, like, and get the equipment in. And obviously there was a lot of the equipment from Apollo came from China, like. So that was all held up as well coming over. So we got open. Look, it was kind of 11 days kind of behind, but like when we got open, like people definitely enjoyed it for the three weeks that we were open. We got, I think it was like 120 members in those 3 weeks signed up for a year. Obviously all the other memberships then just paused then and just restarted then when we reopened. So it did. It gave us time to get going and get everything up and running. But like when all you want to do is just start training. Like, I mean, I didn't want to be in here sweeping floors and picking up screws on the ground. Like carpenters would be in here screwing something, the screw would fall, they just throw it and get another one. Like, and whereas to me, that I'm after paying for that, so I'd be throwing it back in the box. But look, all we want to do is just get open and just show people what we were actually after creating, like.
Yeah. That's deadly. So it was taking a step back more. It's always been your plan to own a gym.
Yeah.
So like
it was always my plan to kind of combine the rehabilitation with a gym and just have a place that people could come do their rehab while other people then are doing whatever trend they want. Like, basically, I was trying to combine loads of different realms of fitness. Like.
Fitness into one.
Yeah.
And then when it came to actually going about it and setting up your own unit and making that jump to be a business owner, what was your mindset like? Were you super nervous about doing it? Were you like,
Hadn't a clue, Not setting up sole traders. I was a sole trader before, obviously, my physio business was a sole trader business. That's easy enough. But when you're setting up a company, hadn't a clue, like. We did so many things wrong, like. We got our share capital wrong. That was only recently fixed, like. We changed accountants there only last year now, and he's after doing wonders for the business, like. But yeah, we just didn't really know what we were doing, like. We read books, we set up the company ourselves, did all that. I did the business plan myself. That was based off, as I said to you, this little course I did in the Leo inside. And that was really good. Did the business plan myself. Went into the bank. Like again, the bank. I was coming from a clinic, renting a room. And basically the bank were trying to talk me out of doing something big like this because it was a risk, like, and there was a lot of money kind of involved. a lot of loans involved, like. So they were kind of talking me out of doing it, and just asked me, why didn't I just rent a room inside town just to come into town? But it wasn't about me just moving from Ring 20 minutes outside Dungarvan and coming into Dungarvan. Do you mean? It was about coming in and having something bigger and something better that I could actually work with through the future, like.
Yeah.
And I kind of look at Move as like nearly my future, if you want to say it that. Like, it's not about like making loads of money now. Like, we reinvest a lot. We're trying to reinvest a lot into the gym, you know, and keep our equipment up to date and keep adding little bits and pieces that eventually, when I do stop taking clients to retire, like, then I can start taking your wage then out of the company, like.
100%, yeah. Just get it up and running and like grow
like,
it.
when you're self-employed as well, like, it is tough, like. Do you mean, like, at the minute, like, if I don't take clients, you don't make a wage, like. Do you mean? So your time then becomes money, like. So the more time I give up to, say, being at home, or the more time you give up to being at home, the more time you can have to take clients, the more money you make. But where's the balance, like, between making money and spending time at home? Do you mean? And it's tough to get that, like, and it's hard being self-employed to do that. But like, the idea was, like, if I stop working at 60 is the retirement age, whatever. If I stop working at 60 or 50, then I've no income if I'm not taking clients anymore. So that was the idea of this, like, create passive income, I suppose, from something that I don't have to put massive amounts of time into anymore.
100%, and it'll be enjoyable to tip around here when you're older as well.
Yeah,
give you something to do,
I'll
you know.
Start training properly myself then when I'm actually retired. Yeah,
but still, then
50.
Yeah. So then, with regards risk and like, did you feel it risky starting this off? Or were you always? Yeah.
No, absolutely. I'd be fairly cautious, but very thoughtful with, like, even how I spend my own money, my own personal money. Like I would never just jump at a decision and lump a load of money on something, like. Do you know what I mean? I'm very cautious, but I knew it was a risk, that there was big rewards out of it if it came true. And there's a lot of my own personal money kind of went into it as well, like. But I knew there was a bigger reward, not just in, like, financial, but a bigger reward in job satisfaction for myself, but also other people's satisfaction in actually training in a place like this, or doing their rehab in a place like this, that you could actually really, like, make a difference to people, like.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because you've created a serious unit here.
Yeah, it's
steadily,
good.
like, yeah.
I wanted it to be different, like. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want people to, I'm always big on, like, you can only make one first impression, like. You walk in the door, like, you want to make people just think, geez, wow, that's a place I want to go in and train. I want to do my rehab inside there. It's a positive environment that I know, geez, if I'm doing I'll bring it back to rehab. If I'm doing my rehab inside there, I know I'm going to get better, like. Might take time, and it always takes time, but I know that this is a positive environment that I want to be in, and I want to come in and do my stuff, like. It's very hard doing, like, rehab at home or rehab in a gym on your own, you know. So even, like, if you're inside there and you don't know anybody, like, as long as there's positivity inside there, you'll do your work, like.
Yeah, sick. So you were conscious of creating that culture inside the gym.
Yeah. It's very negative. Like, it's negative, and it's lonely, like, especially long-term rehab things, like a cruciate or a hip replacement or any of those type of things. They're 6-9 months of rehab phases, like. Do you know what I mean? And that can be a very lonely place if you're used to playing competitive sport and you're around a team of 30 people, and next thing you're gone for 9 months and you have to do all your rehab on your own. Do you know what I mean? That gets very lonely very quickly, like. So that was always in my head,
Yeah, no, it's unreal, because it's huge. But then back to just the size you went with in relation to starting off, because to me this is a big unit.
To me this is a small unit now.
Yeah. So were you, like, with regards when you were first feeling out somewhere to set up, like, Move, were you looking at bigger places too?
There isn't any bigger place. That was the problem.
This is so.
Yeah. No, look, you probably couldn't afford a bigger place, but there actually wasn't many bigger places around Dungarvan, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The shape of the unit was nice. I like there's two doors kind of coming in, one clinic and one gym. Gives a small bit of separation between the two, the physio side of things and the open gym side of things. But look, could you go bigger? I don't know. Like, we talked about it, because, like, it does get busy upstairs in the gym, especially during the winter. Like, there could be 40 or 50 people training, and then the gym looks quite small, like. And we talked about maybe going into another unit or renting another unit, but I really think we should get what we have as good as possible first before taking another risk with renting another unit, flogging it with a load of equipment. And if it works, great. If it doesn't work, then you're trying to sell off the equipment back to the bank and try and get your money back somehow. So I think we'll try and get this place as good as possible, make sure everyone's happy, make sure our class numbers are high, open members are high, and look, sure, you never know what the future holds like. But we have plans like. Do you know what I mean? I know where I want to go with it. I'm not going to tell you now, but I know where I want to go with it. But like we're going to hold tough now because we've a lot going on.
Yeah. And like, what are kind of some of the key things that make you make the decision about whether to go for it, whether or not?
The time I have to put into it, I'd say, more than anything else.
Yeah.
And at the minute, like 2 kids, I just don't have the time to be putting into it. Like I need to put my time other place, and home is probably the main thing at the minute. But there's a lot of again, if you're going to expand, like then you're going back to the bank, you're going business plan first. You have to get all your accounts in order. You have to make sure you can fund your part, make the repayments then for this new premises. So, look, that's years down the road.
Yeah.
And I definitely think about it, like, do you know what I mean? Because I never think about just staying the same. Like I always, what can we do next? But sometimes you kind of have to slow down a small bit. Like the plan this year was just a couple of little bits and pieces more. Not so much gym equipment this year. Things that we talked about at the start, putting in that they weren't essential to a gym. Like turnstiles, say, for the front door. Like we're doing that now this year. Like we wanted them from the start, but they're not essential to a gym. Like so, there's no need to spend a couple of €1,000 on that. Where we could get a new squat racks or things like that. You know. So it was just different priorities at different stages, I suppose.
Yeah, which is huge because like prioritizing is and it takes a lot of time as well to actually go through. Yeah. And like what you prioritize then can obviously dictate so much where the business goes.
Yeah, and the selection of equipment is huge as well. Like that's why we didn't go to any big plate loaded machines, like because plate loaded machines are just one dimensional. Chest press is a chest press. So we went with smaller, more compact, like plate loaded or pin loaded rather than just the plate loaded because they're just bigger. They take up more space. And that's why we went with more free weights, more squat racks, that type of things then. And
I think the way people train now, though, they prefer those kind of stuff.
I think so, yeah. But like, you have to kind of cater for everyone as well. Like the first person that walks into the gym, the safe thing is sit in a machine and push it and pull it. Do you know what I mean? You change the weights rather than go over to the squat rack and try squatting and you haven't a clue what you're doing.
That's
true. And we've plenty of them inside there too, but like it's kind of nice to start people on the machines. But again, you only need one chest press, one back row, one shoulder press, and then as you become more advanced, then you kind of move on then to your dumbbells, obviously, and your barbells, that type of stuff.
So then, like in relation to actually designing the gym and kitting it out and picking the layout, because obviously you got that speed ramp. Which is a pretty like distinguishing feature. What were some of the things in the gym that you were like must-haves?
The ramp was one of them anyway, So the ramp, I saw it on, it was actually on Michael Murphy did this thing where he went to France and a fella came over here.
I remember that.
Exchange, it was on
thing.
AIB, and this fella in Donegal, can't think of his name now, has a little ramp inside his gym. It's only about 10 metres, it's quite steep. And I remember watching on that and I thought, that would be unreal to have it inside a gym. So that's when we were putting in the mezzanine. It just came back to my head, like, and I just thought, look, could we put something in like that? And it was Rosie's brother that helped me design. He's an architect. I live in Australia, and he helped me design the ramp, and he designed it into it. So basically, we just put it in. So it's made of steel, like, and timber joist underneath, plywood on top of it, and it's 20 meters, 13-degree incline. So it's obviously hill sprints, speed mechanics, your 4-foot strike, your high knee lift, high heel lift. You have to get it all from running hills, like so. That's why we put that in.
Yeah, 100%.
And even for like wheelchair access as well, like we have people like training here in wheelchairs, like, and they just go up the ramp and happy days. They're straight away, it's brilliant.
Yeah, geez, especially from a rehab perspective. Getting people returned to running. That's like super beneficial.
Anybody that I'm rehabbing that you're going through like a running phase inside there, you might start with a bit of a treadmill jog, but obviously treadmill running is different to running on the ground outside because you lose your propulsion. So you send them up and down the ramp for a couple of strides and then learn how to feel the ground again, learn how to strike the ground again. So
sick.
Yeah, it's big. And it's probably one of those unique selling points that I really wanted to get in. It was just in my head, like, there's something different. Like, I don't know, is there any other gym that has something like that inside? I don't know.
I've never seen one.
Over in Geelong have one over in Australia. If you have a look at their stuff, I think Carlton have one as well. So if you look at their Instagrams and things like that, you can actually see the hill sprints that they're doing, slight ramps. But again, like that's like it's huge to be able to actually go into the gym and actually do a proper sprint of something, 20-meter sprint, like. Do you know what I mean? And you mix that then into your training, like it just gets a lot more functional for your sport rather than just go in and just lift in one-dimensional things.
100%, 100%. And then with regards to actual layout of the gym and planning, how like was that all you deciding where everything goes?
Yeah, we decided, and sure, we made an awful boo-boo because like where you're sitting now used to be a yoga studio, like, but upstairs there's a 6-bay rack where people deadlift. So yoga downstairs, deadlifting upstairs just didn't go to plan at all. So we did yoga for like 2 years, and the girl that did yoga she did great, like, but it was awful because there was people down here thinking the floor is going to fall in and top them, you know. So and Monday night was yoga night, but Monday night was also deadlift for the boys' night. So there's just weights being dropped constantly. So that was a bad planning mistake by me. Really should have put just the machines just upstairs. Above the yoga studio, but to be honest, look, we got rid of the yoga studio, put this little gym in then for teams, and it's actually after working out way better than the yoga studio. But the layout, we kind of went to it. There's beams upstairs and things like that, so we kind of sectioned the gym. There's 3 big beams, so it kind of came in 3 sections anyway. So we did kind of the functional section, which is this side over here. So there's 6 squat racks there. You have your prowler up there. You have your spaced in for mats. You have your jump boxes. Then there's the free weights area with the machines, and the other side of that, then you have your cardio equipment up by the window that you can somewhat look out the window. Yeah. Then the other side of that, then you have your 2 squat racks and all your cables and your leg presses and all those big heavy machines on the far side. So yeah, we kind of just tried to keep the flow as best as possible. Like, people are attracted to certain things, like obviously dumbbells straight away, squat racks, they go straight away, and then cables. So we added in a 4-station cable there only just before Christmas, and that's made a big change to where people actually go to train. Because like 4-station, it doesn't take up that much space, but straight away there's 4 bodies around that one machine. Whereas you have say a dual pulley, like you might only have one person in a dual pulley doing like cable flies and like that. So like I'm always kind of learning about like how a gym flows and where do people congregate, because you don't want big clumps of people either, like, and you don't want people waiting too long to take machines either. So like having enough cables is one thing, having enough dumbbells then is another thing, having enough of your 12.5s and your 15s. These are quite popular, like obviously, because most people are using them, but like you don't need as many 45s and 50s. I don't have 50s, but I have 45s, like. And there for a long time there was dust on them, like, because nobody was using them, but now there's a couple of lads using them now inside, or they're asking for 50s, but those type of things, and just making sure you have enough equipment. And to be honest, what's used mainly is your small ones, like your 4s, your 5s, your 6s. And at the start we definitely didn't have enough of them, and we had to just keep kind of getting enough that the demand is there for the equipment that's used. You know?
Yeah, because they're actually now.
And there's always little bits and pieces popping up, like.
But like, there are sort of logistics you'd never think about.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of just, I know you assume you go into this gym, you see the layout, but there's obviously a lot of thought like put into gym layouts. Yeah. Did you get any help from anyone in that relation to?
Apollo, the lads that did the equipment company, so they kind of, you send them the dimensions of the space that you actually have first, and they'll do a rough layout, 3D layout for you, and they'll send it on, and then you can kind of just move things on their software or whatever it is. You can kind of just move the machines around, the machines to scale to your dimensions, like move the machines around. And like when it comes to on the day, I completely changed it then. Where we actually put things, and it just didn't work when they laid all the stuff out upstairs, and things just didn't feel right, so we actually just swapped the good bit around. It worked much better then. Yeah,
sure, it's one thing looking at it on the computer.
It's one thing looking at the computer looking down at it, but when you're actually in the space, it was basically where there's 2 squat racks against the mirror. They were supposed to be on the other side, and the dumbbells the other side where the cables were. Okay. But it wouldn't have made sense, because obviously we put the machines underneath a beam, so you're not standing up. So obviously the beams aren't that tall, but they're not actually standing up, so you're going to hit your head. But on the other side, then you would have where I had positioned the dumbbells. So basically, we just swapped them around.
Yeah.
But that was literally like a last minute kind of thing. But no, I'm always kind of thinking of the flow and what's being used and what people will want to use. You know.
Sick. But as well, if that's the sort of stuff you're paying attention to, the quality of the gym and the user experience is going to get better and better.
Yeah,
so
and we'll keep trying to update little things. Like, and there's always things breaking. You know. There's always cables snapping that are being used, certain machines that are being used, and there's always going to be something, a cardio machine, a treadmill, something like that break that you're going to have to change. Like, and it's either you throw an out of order sign on it for a couple of weeks, or you try and just change it as quick as possible. I prefer to just change it as quick as possible, but obviously then you have to be able to fund that. So we have to make sure we have a buffer there at all times. On top of pay wages, on top of pay electricity, on top of pay everything else. So there's that side of it. There's that side of it too, and that's the side people probably don't see. Like
100%.
You know, and making sure wages are paid every week. Like
Yeah.
You know, that's first and foremost, because we try to look after our staff here, and they're really good to us. Like, so we try to look after them as best we can. So we need to make sure they're looked after, and then after that, then you have all the other bills, rent, pay off the bank, all that kind of stuff. Then that all comes secondary to that. Like, so.
How has running a business been?
It's been good. Yeah, it's been good. I enjoy it. Like, really enjoy it. And I have a lot of help. Like, Rosie does most of it now, in fairness. Like, she does more for this business than I do. Like, I do just the client stuff, but she does the things that people don't see, like all that, the wages, the payroll, that type of stuff. Meets the accountant, meets, if we're getting something fitted in here, she'll come over and meet them, you know, so she does an awful lot of that. But like, we work fairly well together. Like, she's the boss, like, you know, I have to say that on camera, but we work well together, and we kind of bounce off each other a lot. And she'll calm me down with things as well. Like, there's things that frustrate me in here, and she'll just talk me out of any bit of anger that I might have, you know, and then that's good. We kind of bounce off each other nicely. Like.
Yeah, and you need that as well.
Yeah, and like, we're good. Like, we don't always talk about it either. Like, when we go home, like, we've loads of other things obviously to talk about now with kids and things like that, but we try to we do our little conversation about it. If something has to be done or talked about, we'll do it, and then we just park it, and that's it then.
Yeah.
You know, so we try to have our own lives, and then our work lives then are separate. Like.
Yeah. And then what are you most excited about, Move?
What am I most excited about here?
Yeah.
Oh, I actually don't know. I'm just trying to get through day to day now.
Or is there any equipment you're like really eyeing up?
No, not at the minute.
No.
I'm not looking at equipment now at the minute. No.
Yeah.
That's next year's plan in my little black book. But no, at the minute, look, as I said, we're going to put turnstiles in, and what's the next thing after that? I actually don't even know.
Yeah.
There's always something small, like, but it's like, business is hard, like, you know, like, we're 3 years in business, be 4 years in December, and like, you still, like, if you stop putting in the effort, like, the business is going to fail.
That's,
you know,
the thing,
and if the business fails, obviously we fail, and that's our livelihood, as we said. So we have to keep putting effort in. Like, even staff, like, we're going to keep losing staff. You have to keep trying to get good staff in. We have to make sure our personal trainers are busy. We have to make sure our classes are busy. We're going to lose personal trainers as well. Like, Ross is going to head away. So we need to make sure his classes are covered, like, you know, because he's doing really well. So we need to make sure those clients are all looked after. So there's that. I don't know, do you look forward to all those type of things? Like, they make you a small bit anxious, but you just kind of have to just get on with it. And every day there's something different popping up, like, you know, every single day something different popping up. And you could plan for, Monday's always a busy day, like I was planning for something completely different this morning, and I had to meet the insurance broker, you know, different things like that, just to ask questions. Look, I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see where it's going to be in 10 years time. Please God, we're still here. In 20 years time, can I convince one of my daughters to take it over? You know, something like that. Honestly, see where if they want to go down this route, they can have it. Like, you know, they can employ me or something. I don't know. I don't know where we'll end up with it, but look, I'm enjoying it now at the minute. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And when you talk about adaptability and stuff like that, have you found you've become way more adaptable? And like, when things change, you're able to change with it? Yeah,
sometimes I was very stern on my way, and it was this way and no other way. But no, definitely, I try to nearly take a step back at times as well, and ask for opinions. Rosie, she'd want to go to straight away, like, what do you think of this? And she'll tell me her way. But if I think it's still better, I'll probably still go my way. But normally she's right, like. But look, you have to adapt to loads of different things, and it'll always be like, you're dealing with the public too, like, so there'll always be little things pop up, but then people probably want a bit more than you're actually offering them. You know, this type of stuff in terms of like membership. Like, our memberships don't include classes because they're quite low. Like, they don't include classes within them, and some people are shocked that they don't include classes in them. Like, you're only paying €35 a month, and you expect to come in and do free classes as well. Like, you can't. That doesn't work. Like, no gym will work like that. So, but majority of people aren't like that. Majority of people understand how gyms work. That your membership, and then you kind of sell on top of it. Then, like, the physio is extra, classes are extra, personal training is extra. Then if you're looking for those, so that's why we try to keep our memberships low, and everything else then is kind of a sale after that. Then.
Yeah. It is cool about businesses. There's so many different ways to approach it.
Yeah, it's all about revenue. Like, it's all about how to make revenue and revenue streams. Like, you know, and like the way we do it, obviously we have membership for the open gym. We rent space then, so we rent to personal trainers who have their own businesses. So there's a lot of people within here that are sole traders, run their own businesses. So we just rent space then. They bring their client in, they pay us to use the space of the client. Or for a class, they'll just rent a class area off us, or teams will rent this room off us. We have the Day Show, Water Underage Development, do that every Friday over the winter. They do it on a Wednesday then during the school term. And then we've memberships kind of agreement with the county board that this is the gym in the west for the senior hurlers, senior footballers. You know, and that's massive as well for us. Like, you know, like being into GA myself. But if you're a young 18-year-old hurler and you're coming in and you're seeing your Tyg Burks and Jamie Barnes and these fellas training inside her, like that kind of gets them involved and watching what they're doing, and they want to do the same thing, look after the bodies the way they look after their bodies, you know. So that's a huge part of it as well. That's something that I'm quite proud of, like, is to be involved in that, and that you can make little changes to those future GA stars, I suppose.
100%, and that goes back to when you're on about creating that positive culture, positive environment for training and stuff. Yeah, that's exactly what that's doing.
Yeah,
like.
And even like from your rehab side of things, like you're coming in, like young lads coming in here, and they're seeing the likes of them fellas coming in and doing these little exercises for a hamstring or for a quad injury or whatever it might be, like, rather than just coming in and just pumping weights and lifting weights, and understanding that the gym isn't just about lifting weights, is about making yourself better, like, or making an injury better if you are rehabbed, or, you know, that type of thing, rather than just building muscle, like.
I know, because I'd actually be a lot into kind of alternate ways of movement and stuff like that. Yeah. And a lot of the gyms you go to, it's purely just clanging and banging. But there's actually something I have noticed about Move is like a lot of people are doing those like little sort of stuff that will benefit them a lot.
You'll have a lot of people here that are doing our programs, like. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like any of my programs will have weird stuff in them, but like it's more so training and movement rather than thinking about training the muscle. And you do a bit of both, like, you know. Yeah. But trying to train a movement rather than train a muscle. But that's why I called it Move Dungarvan, like. You know, we went through loads of different names, like tons of different. It was motus there for a while, which is movement in Latin, like motus. I don't know why we were thinking about that, but it was just we just went through loads of different names. Optimum was another one, optimal, all these crazy names, and everything just came back to I just want to get people moving a lot more. So I said, why don't we call it just Move Dungarvan, like. So the company's name is Move Health and Fitness Limited, but Move Dungarvan then is the brand, and it's basically what it says in the tin, like Move Dungarvan. That I want to have a gym that like loads of different people can come in, and it's not very intimidating. The intimidation thing is probably the biggest thing that annoys me in the industry, like, because we get loads of, and mainly is women, right, that come in and they're too shy to come into the gym on their own. They feel intimidated to come into the gym on their own. Whereas that shouldn't be the way. Like, everybody inside any gym is trying to better themselves, or they're more worried about themselves or the way they look rather than the way you look, you know. And like sometimes you walk upstairs and you can see somebody that might be overweight, you know, chronically overweight maybe. And majority of the time, like, people will say to that person, "Geez, you're doing really well." Or I have a client at the minute now that I'm working with, and he's overweight. He was told he needs to get down to around 92, 93 kg. He's waiting for a heart transplant. And basically, and he comes in, I do 2 sessions a week with him, 8:30 in the morning. And every day he's kind of seeing the same people, like, and we have him back deadlift now, the back issue, we have him back deadlift now, and everybody now is telling him how good he's doing now, and now he's completely bought into it, comes in on his own twice a week.
Yeah, sick.
Do you know, from a fella that I couldn't get to cycle a bike at home on his own, I had to make him buy a bike. I have a heart rate monitor on him now, he understands where his heart rate needs to be, and he's coming in on his own now, and it's a massive change to his life, starting to get, but like, I've put the onus back on him, but I don't think it's not just me. It's him coming in here, seeing those people, and then telling them, "Geez, and they're people he would have known all his life around Dungarvan, like, and now they're saying, "Geez, Alan, you're doing really, really well. You look great. You're losing massive. You're lifting this weight. You're lifting that weight." Do you know what I mean? That's what's keeping him in there. It's not just me telling him he's doing good. It's other people telling him he's doing good. You know.
100%.
So that's kind of what we have inside there as well, and that's nice then too. Like, you know, it's nice to hear those stories. Like, you know.
Yeah, sick. That's huge. Yeah. And then, so do you wanna? We'll kind of go on to the second chink of your armor, the more physio side of stuff.
I'll fix your ACL.
Yeah. Will you do a job? But more, we'll start just how did you actually get into it, and what was your journey to being where you are now?
I started like every young person, like, a big in sport all my life. I hurt my own knee playing soccer when I was 16, 17. I was playing with Youghal United at the time, and we were playing Rockmount. It was Roy Keane's old club up in Cork. Shit, yeah. So I went in for a tackle. I went in to play a ball, and I opened my foot here to play a pass, and your man met the ball at the same time with the studs. So we both collided. My knee opened up here, so I did medial meniscus and condylar malaysia patella underneath my kneecap. So all my cartilage underneath my kneecap was worn and damaged. So I was in a brace then for 12 weeks. got into like doing a bit of rehab then through a physio inside the All club, sent me down there, and just started kind of working on it myself, and found it interesting. Like, I remember the day after, actually, I did it. I got my aunt to go into Argos up in Cork and buy me 2 little adjustable dumbbells, because I couldn't run anymore, like, so I wanted to do something. I was kind of conscious of my weight. I used to carry a bit of weight before that, but I had most of it gone. I wanted to kind of just stay fit. So I bought 2 little adjustable dumbbells with the York, with the poster, and I said the poster up in one. I did every exercise in the poster for upper body.
Yeah, I remember those.
So that's what I did at the start. But yeah, I kind of just got into the rehab side of things through that. Kept kind of working on my own. He did what the physio was telling me to do, and kind of did my own thing after that. But so I thought then throughout school, I wanted to be a physio, or I wanted to be strength and conditioning, or a sports scientist, and then eventually I always kind of had sports science in my head. Then I thought the physio route, and then eventually when I actually came down to CEO and leaving, I put down PE, and I knew I probably wouldn't get the points for physio, so I just said, look, I'll put down PE, and I put sports science second. Didn't get the points then for PE either, but I got the points for sports science, and I was delighted. After the first 2 weeks, because we did classes with the PE students, they were doing a bit of dance and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, absolutely not for me. Yeah. So I was actually delighted then with sports science. You do your an injury module, you do your loads of strength conditioning, you get your strength conditioning qualifications out of it, your personal training qualifications, your coaching, did GA coaching badges, did FAI coaching badges at the time as well. And then, so I always kind of had, then I knew after about 6 months, first year in college, and I went to UL, did sports science at UL. I knew after the first semester that I kind of wanted to do the physio route.
Yeah.
So in third year then, UL, you do your 9 months of work placement, the second year, third year. So I went over to Boston, to Springfield, and not Boston, but Western Massachusetts, a place called Springfield College. So we did athletic therapy over there, athletic training over there. So in the mornings we went to class, in the afternoons then we worked with teams. So, and geez, we got hands-on and everything, like we were able to do your robes, your soft tissue work, and they'd ask us, there were a lot of students over there working with the basketball teams and stuff like that.
Was that just like, an Erasmus or something?
No, it's not Erasmus, but it's work placement. It's work placement through UL, like, so basically their students used to come over to do business in UL. We used to go over do athletic therapy over there, athletic training over there. So it was 4 of us went over. Now we had great crack, like.
Yeah.
But we didn't have to do exams or anything like that. But we had to go to we had to pick a couple of modules like strength conditioning and injury prevention, all that kind of stuff. So we worked with teams, and that was it for me. I knew exactly what I wanted to do then for the rest of my life. So we got loads of hands-on work, loads of experience in terms of the rehab, being in the gyms. Still to this day, the 2 best gyms I was ever in were over there in that college. That's what John Cena used to go there as well. That was his college, honestly. It was unbelievable, like the amount of weights, the amount of racks they had, all these fancy cables, everything like that. It was brilliant now. So that's what's really cemented me then to do the physio side of things. So finished 4th year, and I went to London then to St Mary's in Strawberry Hill in Twickenham. So I did 2 years masters in sports rehabilitation then over there. So and then after that, then it was kind of first year was moved over there. For the first year it was all modules. Second year, first half of the year was modules. I was over there for a few months, and then after that it was all just dissertation. Then after that, so I kind of came home here and wrote the dissertation then. Yeah, so that was it. Then when I came home then from the dissertation, after that then I started working with Keane, and I did we had work placement then throughout that as well. So I did a bit with Keane, I did a bit with Munster Rugby, with the under 19 development squads, and I did it with Waterford under 21 hurlers at the time as well. But like you're only kind of shadowing, like until you kind of get to know the other physio that's there, and then they start leaving you do more. They'll ask you a few questions, and kind of learned trying to, like when you're looking at, like, say Munster, especially when I was up there with the 19s, like a physio would ask me, how would you rehab this, or what would you do for this, and you try and show him something that maybe he hasn't seen before. You know, like we learned a lot of, like, it all over in Twickenham. I had a fantastic lecturer, Christian Poole was his name. He was all about movement, like it was all about feet. First thing hits the ground is the foot, last thing leaves the foot, so every force has to transfer through the foot. If the foot isn't moving properly, something else up the chain isn't moving properly. So basically he used triangulation, which is a Gary Gray from America, and he kind of coined the term triangulation. So it's basically just working off a star and basically on the floor, and you can make any movement in the lower body or upper body based off different touches or different reaches off a star. So that's kind of where, when I went to Munster and I was showing him this, and that's kind of when he allowed me to do more with the athletes that were there, because like I taught him something new, you know, something different that he hadn't seen before. Like, so he gave me a lot of trust then. I'd still be in contact with him. He's from Fermoy. I'd still be in contact with him because of it as well, because it was more of a movement-based approach rather than a muscle-based approach. You're just looking at that ligament, you're looking at the movement of the whole body or what's actually happening in the whole body. Like.
Yes, nice.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, but
so that's
it. Yeah, so I did my work placement internships, and then when I finished that, then I started working down with Keane O'Connor, and he started giving me clients. Busiest fella around, really. Like, so if he was full, he'd throw me a few clients, and I'd focus maybe on a bit more rehab that he mightn't have the time to do, or do a bit more rehab with somebody. But I still remember, like, I'd say it was 2015. The end of 2015, after the GA season, obviously a busiest season for physios around here, like, and it was after that, and I actually had no clients. Like, I had like 2 clients during the week, like, so you're making maybe €100, like,
yeah,
you know. And I remember walking across the beach with my mother, thinking, I'm just going to leave this. I'm just going to have to go and do something else. Like, I have no real income, and she kind of just told me, no, just stick at it, and something will happen. And just the following year, then there was clubs ringing Keane to see would he get involved in physio work with. He couldn't take him on, so he'd pass him on to me, and that's kind of where I started. And like, when you go in with a GA team, doing your work, you have 30 potential clients in front of you, plus their friends, plus their family. That's kind of the way I looked at it. So every training session I went to, or every match I went to, I made sure I was bang on, doing as best a job as I possibly could, trying to make as good a name for yourself as you possibly can. And then after that, then it's kind of word of mouth referrals after that. You know, once you've gone on well with one person, for a certain injury, they'll just send them on. So
yeah,
it kind of started. It was kind of snowballed after that, but it was slow as well, like a slow burner, because when you come out, like, nobody knows who you are, and like, there wasn't really Instagram at the time or Facebook at the time. None of that. It was just all word of mouth. There was no card machines even at the time. You know, that was just 14, like 15. So at the time, it was just like word of mouth was everything, and being exposed on GA pitches was the main thing for me. So I took on a good few teams just covering matches and that type of stuff, and that's kind of how I ended up getting my name out there. Like,
has sports physio always been your main interest?
Yeah. No, you do general kind of stuff as well, and you have to help the general person too. Like, but sports physio in terms of long-term rehabilitation, or like, I get good kick off these complex kind of things that people have been around to a couple of different physios, maybe not figuring things out, and then trying different aspects of rehab, and next thing getting it back, you know, or people are after maybe a couple of operations. Hip impingement is probably the one at the minute, like a couple of hip impingement operations, and still have groin pain or still have hip pain, not able to play, and you might do it again, it takes a bit of time, like, and you might just change different aspects of their movement, or change different aspects of the rehab, that they're not just working their glute all the time after a hip operation, like, and next thing you see them back playing, or back training, or back doing whatever they're looking for, and you kind of get a good buzz off that, like.
Oh yeah, that's unreal. Yeah. And sure, the impact that has on someone's life is like, it can't be measured, really.
No. And yeah, but like, you're still within sport, like, you're still taking risks of the body, like, you know, if you have a hip impingement that you're after having 2 operations on, you're after taking a bit of cartilage out of there. Cartilage is there to stop bone on bone. You're causing bone on bone. Next thing you're going running around the GA pitch, twist and turn, you're going to cause more wear, like. You're gonna end up with a hip replacement at some stage. You'll probably just bring that time a bit closer to you. But look, you either sit at home and you don't do anything and you worry about the future, or you try to play for now, enjoy your sport now, you know, enjoy the social side of your sport now, and then worry about that as life goes on. But no, yeah, that's a big part, and I really enjoy that. It's tough though, because like, if people are coming to you with those type of issues, like, you're nearly their last resort.
Yeah,
you know, and they're looking for answers, but so you have to kind of figure out things what they haven't tried, because a lot of people would have tried the same kind of things, but it's kind of like the things that they haven't tried then, or really educating them about what type of movement you're trying to teach their body to do is a massive part of it as well. The education thing is huge, like.
Yeah, but where did you get that sort of knowledge yourself to actually have the tools to try all these different movement styles?
Make it up.
Seriously?
You just get it from, actually, your man Christian Poole. He was brilliant, honest God. So his lectures used to be, he kind of went around. Gary Gray was a big part of his functional movement digest over in America. So he went over there and did a course. So he'd take the best part of courses, mix them together, and create a course for us. And it was amazing. Like, he was massive on the foot, as I said. Foot hits the ground, everything changes up above. So like, even we had student clinic over there, like, and if you were dealing with another student like with an injury, and if he walked into the room, you had to get the student off the bed and treat him standing up. Do you know what I mean? So you're treating them with movement or with certain exercise, that you're not just rubbing them for the sake of them, because there's too much of physio, and people think physio, I am just going to physio, you're getting a fucking rub, or you're getting an elbow stuck in your arse or something like that, or needles or cupping. Now there's too much focus gone, like that's the physio helping you, whereas I tried to get the client to help themselves by teaching their body how to move to a different position, or trying to strengthen a certain tissue or strengthen a certain position. But like then the onus is down to the client to go home and do these exercises. It might take 30 minutes or 40 minutes a day. Do you mean? And if they're not willing to do it, then you can't really help them. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Well, you can put them up in the bed and just charge their money and just rub their hamstring and keep doing it, and they'll go back to play a match. Pain will come out of it. They'll go back playing a match and pull a hamstring again.
Yeah, it's a lot more of a band-aid solution than actually trying to fix.
Yeah, and I'm just not into that. Like, and you had to do that at the start. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's just as I kind of went down. And what I actually enjoy is I enjoy doing the rehab side of things, so I kind of more focused on that for myself. And I've no problem now, like if somebody's coming to me and they're not doing the work, I'll just tell them, oh, look, this isn't working out, you might as well go somewhere else. Because I prefer to get a client in that's going to really work on it with me, rather than just tell me I'm doing this. And you know straight away if somebody's not doing the work. Like, you put them into the position you're trying to work on, and if they can't tolerate it, then you know they haven't worked on it. Like.
Yeah. And then, so you've worked in a lot of teams and stuff through your time.
Yeah.
You were saying, mentioned obviously Cork, or Munster, even Waterford under 21s.
Yeah.
Then later on you've been involved with like Waterford seniors and stuff like
so
that.
I went from the 21s was kind of this work experience. So after that, then it was just club teams kind of around. I was with Capquin, I was playing with Ardmore, obviously. Worked with Capquin, worked with Lismore, and then I went into Waterford Camogie then for 3 years when Donald Rock took it over. So first year I just did the physio work. Second year I did the physio work, and third year I took on the S&C and physio work. So I tried to do the two of them. And that was brilliant, but that was very challenging, like, because I tried to get him back into the gym very early that year. Tried to get back in October. Did massive block of S&C work, loads of preventions kind of work, I suppose, calf work, Achilles work, hamstring based work, teaching them how to control their pelvis, teaching them how to not leave a knee come into hyperextension, try to co-contract around the knee, that type of stuff. So I did that for a year, and it was the hardest part about that was, like, you could be on the pitch trying to do runs, and next thing, like, when you're in S&C, you can't be afraid of hurting somebody on the pitch, because if you're not training speed, full out sprinting, if you're training top speed, you're probably going to pick up a hamstring injury or two, or a hip flexor injury, and that's guaranteed if you're flat out sprinting. So that year taught me a lot in terms of, don't be afraid to look for things within your training session, like your hard runs and your top speed, but you have to take the risk and hope that nobody gets fucking injured as well. But then when I was doing the physio work that year, if somebody did get injured, I then put more work on myself, because I had to get there earlier, I had to do extra physio work, and then go out into the pitch and do my S&C. But they were great. The girls are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I really love that year now that I was doing it too. And then there was COVID year, so I just did. I trained Lismore here locally, and then I went to senior hurlers. Then I was kind of assistant physio that year at senior hurlers. That was the year they won the league. That was 21. And then last year I took on the strength and conditioning role with Waterford Minors. So I did 2 years of that. No, sorry, 22 and 23 and 24. And that was Waterford Minor hurlers. So I kind of looked at that strength and conditioning role, the minors, as more of a development thing than let's win now, let's get these lads big and strong now. Tried to teach them how to prepare themselves for a training session, prepare themselves for a match, how to properly train, how to properly lift, first of all, how to squat properly, how to deadlift properly, how to hinge properly, those type of things, how to use your foot when you're in the gym, how to push into the ground. Obviously you're running mechanics, you're jumping mechanics, all that other stuff comes into it too. So spent a lot of time on the teaching things, and not so much just lifting weights. Like,
yeah, but like those sort of fundamentals are going to pay off so much longer term.
That's what I'm hoping. Like if we have, like, already even last year we had 2 lads that kind of made the starting team of the under 20s this year. That was huge for us. Like, that's a massive bonus. Like, but if we can just influence all these players, like, we're not winning All Irelands in Waterford. Like, look, this isn't going to happen now for a while. But like, if all these players, if we teach them something, develop them some part, they go back to their clubs and they keep the same development systems going, that they're doing their gym work, they're building their bodies, they're not getting injured, they're performing on the pitch, they're looking after themselves before and after matches onto the pitch, that their performance level is high. That'll raise the standard of club hurling around.
100%.
And if it raises the standard of club hurling, every club's going to have to try to match that. So then we should develop more better senior hurlers as the time
Yeah,
goes on.
it's like a
So
butterfly
we have to really
effect.
look at the development side of things rather than this win now mentality, you know. So, and same thing this year, like we'd 14 lads this year that are underage next year.
Yeah.
So I had to be quite careful. They're only 15 years of age, like, so I had to be quite careful of the weight that they were trying to lift, or the way that they were actually moving, or the injuries they might pick up throughout the year. Like, we were blessed this year; we didn't get many injuries, but we did a lot of work throughout the year on like hamstring prevention stuff and calf prevention stuff. Lots of landing mechanics work, as I said, running mechanics work. So I'd be hoping that, like, even in the future, I could prevent some sort of injuries by not getting them injured early in their lives. That, okay, they're going to pick up some sort of injuries, but they're fully developed before they start picking those injuries up. Because I do think a lot of the long-term injuries are things that lads pick up when they're young. He's only young for it, it's only a bit of pain in his hamstring. It's not like, it's probably a hamstring tear. If you don't get that first one right, that scar tissue is going to build up, that inhibition around it's going to build up, you're going to change how you're moving around it, and then you're sitting good, sitting duck then as you go down the line of injuries. You know?
Compound so much.
Well, you're just going to compensate, like,
Yeah.
straight away. And unfortunately, that's probably what's after happening. A lot of even lads my age that are just, like, I'm 33 now, lads that just can't play anymore because of different things, are constantly doing the same injury, you know.
Yeah, and when it comes to actually kind of trying to establish that environment where you're focusing more on like developing rather than in season, are you sitting down with management and stuff trying to
When you're
lay out a
constantly,
plan?
because like even with that, like I take a good bit of the session. I always took the warm up, the pre-activation stuff. Like once you teach the lads how to do that, the mobility work, the foam rolling first, mobility work, a bit of band work maybe. They kind of do that themselves after a while, and then we'd always, the night before a training session, we'd always plan the session, like what's the focus of the session? Is it a speed session? Is it a more aerobic session? Is it a game-based session? Is it a match-based session? Those type of things. And then like obviously towards the championship, like the hurling is the main thing. Like the boys have to be hurling as much as they can. Early on in the year then it's more about the running. Am I doing aerobic? Am I doing speed tonight? Am I doing anaerobic? You know, that type of stuff. So we'd always, the night before training session, we'd just be in the WhatsApp group, just planning what we're doing, and based off like who's the most important. Is it the hurling coaches or is it the strength and conditioning coach? You know.
Yeah. A lot goes into
it.
But
there's a lot of time goes into it outside of being on the pitch, like
100%.
About being planned and going through your phases, and then whatever the phases on the pitch, then the gym work has to match it. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I can't do 10 sets of 10 German volume on a Monday, and next thing you run the shit out of them on a Tuesday, like you're going to injure them. So you have to be very smart about when you're doing lower body, when you're doing upper body, you know.
Oh, it's incredibly strategic, I'd say.
Yeah, and it's like, it is tough, but like if you get the balance right, then they get massive benefits. And you can go hard, you can go really hard with teams in blocks, like, but you have to make sure that, like, I wouldn't do a lot of speed training in around heavy lifting sessions, you know. And we did that early on. We tried to put a small bit of weight on these lads, tried to put a bit of bulk on them, so we kind of kept the running longer and sloggy, you know. You're not going to pick up a lot of strains doing that. You'll get tired legs, fatigued legs, but you're not going to be tearing hamstrings when you're slogging around the mud. But as the speed went up, then the focus on weights went down, and I tried to do more like ballistic stuff, more plyometric based work, contrast work. I ended up doing a French contrast, then going into championship, and look, we did alright this year. Like, we won a game this year, which is huge for us. Like, we got out of Munster, played Galway in All Ireland preliminary quarter final. Lads just didn't turn up. There's definitely a psychological problem probably in around Waterford, lack of confidence. Fantastic players, like, there's fantastic players coming through, but definitely lack of confidence is one of the main things probably holding lads back, because they're not used to playing in Central Stadium and Gaelic grounds and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know, like, we'd be talking to lads after, and they're saying that they can't sleep before matches and this type of thing. So already, like, I'm after meeting, I'm not going next year now with the minors and taking a year out, but one of the big focus next year now already is trying to get a sports psychologist involved, that we can actually just kind of squash all those little bits and pieces that the lads enjoy. Like, they definitely enjoyed training this year, and training was good crack, but that they find more enjoyment in the prep for the match rather than the nerves for a match that they can't sleep and can't get their bodies right for.
Oh, 100%. For sure. If you're not sleeping, you have that nervous energy before, it's not going to transfer well.
And these are kids, like, you know what I mean? Like, these lads
100%.
are 15, 16.
They should be going out having fun, like.
They should be, but they're not allowed to do that, you know. But like, it's like, it's hard. The weather was getting good as well, like coming up to that Galway game, and like we were telling lads, look, don't be out in the sun too long. And but again, they should be out eating 99s and all that type of stuff. But look, it's a tough age, definitely a tough age, and they're heavily scrutinised as well, because there's articles about them in the Examiner, they're on TV, they're on club, or if their friends are watching, they're on TikTok then the following day if they score a good goal or make a bad mistake, so it's definitely different, but there's a lot more pressure on and only kids like.
Yeah, when you actually say about all that like social media aspect, I never
social
thought
media's
about it.
huge.
Yeah, sure, that adds so much more pressure on it.
Social media is huge, and social media look can be a good thing or a bad thing. Like I'm not into it. If you go on my Instagram, I think my last post is 2020 or something like 2021. I got into it during lockdown, started doing the online Zoom calls with people and online programs, and I kind of only did it because I had the time to do it first of all, and again it kept a bit of money coming into the bank. But like once I could get back hands on with people, I just gone off all that straight away. And we do it for Move very slightly, just for advertising more than anything else. But we're not into vlogging Instagram with loads of videos because people just end up flicking through them. But like when we put something up, like it's something that we kind of want people to see. Normally it's like a new class or opening hours for bank holiday weekend, those type of things. So I don't know, I don't have time for it either. I don't have time to be creating content and all this kind of stuff,
It takes time, because I started
cutting
doing
and
it
editing,
geez, no, it's not easy. I'm kind of conscious time. It's 10:10.
Go on,
you've
keep
two
going.
kids at home.
Belt away.
Yeah,
go on, you have a list of questions, go on.
We'll touch on ACL. So you're a bit of an ACL specialist, I feel.
I wouldn't
feel
say
a
that.
lot of people have gone to you.
Yeah.
I've known a number of people have gone to you.
Yeah.
And you've obviously dealt with like some of the high profile Waterford names in relation to their ACLs.
Yeah.
When you come to ACLs, what do you think are some like the key components for that process? To return
for
well?
the rehab process?
Yeah.
Retrain the whole body and not just the knee.
Yeah.
ACL is a complicated one. Like an awful lot of ACLs happening now. Why they're happening? There's no one reason. Obviously, training load has gone up. Obviously, the number of matches has gone up. Number of training sessions, number of gym sessions has gone up. Is it something that we're making people more anterior dominant based off movement pattern than posterior dominant? Maybe the way that they might squat or the way they might deadlift into their knees rather than deadlift into their hips. And that might be one, but really like the knee is only caught between your foot and your hip. So if there's some sort of coordination issue between your foot and your hip, your knee is more susceptible to that rotation to cause the ACL. So it's normally like in a plant and rotate. So if you plant your left foot and you want to rotate to the right, if your foot can't go into pronation, your bones can't fall into that arch, your tibia can't internally rotate, your femur might still go into internal rotation, but if your tibia is not doing it, then there's torque inside the knee. Vice versa, if there's something going on up your hip, foot hits the ground, foot might fall into pronation, happy days. Tibia rotates, femur is not going anywhere. If your hip can't internally rotate, you get that rotation. So there's no real reason to say, this is exactly why you did it, but I think you have to kind of take all those components into it. You have to try to train the knee to be a knee. Like obviously the knee only has two movements, flexion, extension, and rotation. Like it doesn't really have lateral movement because of the LCL and MCL. So you have to try to train the knee to be a knee. So that thing I was on about triangulation on the star on the floor, that's probably, I don't know, my program's different, but that's the difference between my program and other people's program. I do a 9-week of triangulation phase with most of my clients where they basically go around the star and I tell them to step in this direction. Step to the side, to rotate down the side. And it's basically teach your knee how to move again, how to rotate, how to flex, how to so that's when say if it's your left leg's in the middle, is your right leg is moving. The right leg is the driver, left leg is just following it, how to rotate or how to flex. And then if your left leg is moving, it's how to accept weight. So how do you go from your heel to the middle of your foot, stop yourself from falling forward or stop your knee from extending back, and then push yourself back out of it. Do it going forwards, do it going backwards, do it going sideways, do it while rotating. And they're the shitty little things, and that's the boring stuff, but that's the biggest thing to me. Gym-based ACL rehab, again, it's nearly like two sagittal planes. It's all the same movements, don't tend to train a lot of rotation, don't tend to train a lot of those type of movements, lateral movements. Lateral will come into it with lateral lunges and stuff like that, but the rotational is definitely missed, So I try to train loads of that, and basically the way that triangulation kind of stuff goes, it goes from stepping to mini lunges to big lunges, and eventually then your plyometric phase comes in, jumping in different directions, jumping up, down, landing mechanics. Can you stabilize? Can you plant in your foot with your hip back, or are you planting just driving into your knee straight away? That's only going to cause anterior knee pain. So we have to try to get the hip with the foot to coordinate as best as we can, and the knee to be as stable as you possibly can in the middle, that you're trying to take the load off the knee and put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So there's a lot in it, and then obviously look, you have the pelvis and you have the trunk above it then as well. But like there's a lot in it, but I really think you have to take that whole body approach to an ACL. That it's not just about the knee, you know. It's not just about the quad either. Like a lot of ACL programs is just like leg extensions, leg press. We start doing a few squats. It's how you squat. Like everybody that starts to squat again after an ACL will shift to the other side straight away. And so if you don't teach that person how to stare at themselves in the mirror, or use a band around the knees, push out against that band, keep your pelvis neutral as possible, touch a bench, don't go past parallel, touch a bench, come back up without shifting to the other side, then we're wasting our time nearly at the start, because if you don't get that early, once you put a bar on top of the back and a bit of load, you're just going to keep going to that side.
Yeah, because that's
your avoidance then on that ACL side.
Yeah.
As the avoidance then, when you go back to your plant and twist and turn, and even like your normal stuff, you run to a cone, you plant your left, you want to go to the right. If you're not going to take weight in that, your knee's going to collapse in straight away. So you have to teach the body to take weight and accept weight onto that knee, and understand, you know what, it's okay to take weight in the knee. It's okay for my knee to rotate as I be able to plant, and that's basically when you'll be successful. Like my goal in rehab is always like to bring the person back to a position where they got hurt without getting hurt. So if your mechanism of injury was I planted my left leg and I want to rotate to my right, then my goal would be to get there and do it super, super fast, and then do it with real aggression into the ground. Like.
Yeah, sick. Yeah,
but there's a lot in it, like, and you don't have to do the fancy stuff with everybody. Like, you know, I rehab a cousin of mine, and she fell over to lead a dog. She just wanted to get back doing a bit of jogging, like, and that was grand. That took us about 5 months. That was no problem. But like, it's the high level athlete or the GA player that wants to get back into county hurling, and then you have to think about the chaos that happens when you're out on the hurling pitch, like the amount of twisting, turning, falling, hitting, pushing, all that happens. You have to try to recreate all that.
Yeah.
And it's just step by step approach, like. And if you jump a phase, like I failed with ACLs before, like I've had clients do them again, and you know, and it's not that you fail, but did you miss something, or did you skip a phase, or did they go back too quick? You know, you'll be questioning all that. Was it the graft not healed properly? Was it, you know, something like that? But you have to try to cover all bases and just take your time going through the phases. I think the early phase is definitely massively important, that you get the knee calm, nice calm knee, that you're not creating any inflammation, any tendinopathies in the patella. If it's a patella tendon graft, if it's a hamstring graft, same thing, no patella tendinopathy or hamstring tendinopathy down below. And then just slowly go through your phase and just give it the time, like. So everyone wants to get back after an ACL. Everyone has 9 months, or Ibrahimovic getting back after 7, and then he hurt his knee again, but he didn't do his cruciate. But you know, if you rush it and you're not ready to go through the phases, then you'll probably get hurt again. Or again, it'll turn into like if you were a hamstring graft, it'll turn into just chronic hamstring issue that you're constantly pulling your hamstring. Like if it's a patella tendon graft, you'll just be tweaking your quad or tweaking your calf or something along those lines. But you're trying to stop all those potential injuries at the other side of rehabbing an ACL. But there's a lot in it. There's a lot in it if you want to do it right. But like, the client doesn't need to know any of that. Like, all the client wants to do is, what do I do and how long will it take me to get back playing? That's all they want to do. And everybody thinks running is the end goal, because everybody's asked after doing the cruciate, are you back running yet? And they think, oh yeah, if you're back running now, you're nearly there. So geez, you're only about halfway there.
Yeah.
You know, and what I try to do is I try to do a good phase of high level, fairly aggressive plyometrics before I leave people go run. So I know if people can tolerate like plyometrics, single leg plyometrics, bouncing and stopping, that I know if they can tolerate that in the knee, then run is easy, because running is only jumping from right leg to left, very low level plyometric at jogging, like. So I know if they can tolerate single leg plyometrics on the same leg, loads of bounces and multi-directional stuff as well. Once they leave them running, they're delighted and they think you're a guru. But it's nothing to do with that. It's about being smart, going through your phases. If running is the end goal for this person, if you bring them to something that's above running, which plyometrics like that are, that's actually above running. You know, running is a piece of piss. So you know, once you go back running, they'll be happy out. And then you have to start building their run, because their fitness is going to be chronic.
Yeah.
Do you mean? So then you're talking about building their run. That's when I use the ramp then as well. Yeah. I put them on the treadmill first, because obviously treadmill is nice. And if something happens to the treadmill, just press stop, just get off it. And you can continue your session doing something else. But I always do treadmill. But the problem with treadmill is you lose your propulsion, you lose your push off the treadmill. So I always combine treadmill with ramp. If they're rehabbing here, if they're rehabbing somewhere else, then I'll combine that with maybe like, I don't know, it depends on the space, a jog up and down the room or something like that. Something that they actually have to get used to pushing back into the ground, or sled push. I always do sled pushes, sled pulls, coming through the feet, teaching the foot to go from heel to toe and toe to heel, that type of stuff. But the ramp is lovely for that, because like the ramp, just you have to strike it with forefoot. You won't heel strike running up a hill, so you have to start striking with forefoot. Heel comes up, knee comes up, and you cycle through. And on that as well, you can kind of hear the bounce off the foot. So I'd always be asking people, again, listen on the treadmill and also listen on the ramp. Does my right strike sound the same as my left strike? You know, and if it's not, then maybe put a bit more focus on making a bit more noise on the quiet side, which is probably the ACL side. Make a bit more noise in that, just get that strike a bit louder, a bit more aggressive through the strike, and then everything starts to kind of pick up then after that.
Yeah, serious, man. Yeah, because like, how long would you say, as the years have gone on, has your approach with regards like the phases and what you're actually including each of them?
How long
has that developed a lot? Yeah.
I can't do 4 weeks, like, but some people then, like younger people, like there's a lot of younger people doing their cruises now. I try to meet them maybe every 2, like, you know, they might have to do things at home that they don't get to a gym, they don't drive, like, so they might have to do things at home. They'll definitely be 12 months minimum.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be happy telling them to go back to any sport within that 12 months, just to make sure everything's properly healed, their growth plates are more developed, their muscles are more developed, their bones are more developed, that type of stuff. But like normally I kind of meet everyone maybe once a month, give them the plan. And if they're good to look after, then like if they're rehabbing here, I'll see them anyway. Like they'll be asking me questions, or I go for a night out and I'm talking about ACLs, or that's what always happens to me. But most people, like I try to talk to people as much as I can that are doing those rehabs. I said they're long, lonely kind of places, like, so I don't mind having a conversation with somebody if I pass them upstairs, even while I'm working with another client. If I pass them upstairs, just ask them how they're getting on, you know.
Yeah, but in then relation to your process to actually rehabbing them, has that developed a lot as the years went on?
As I've gone on?
Yeah,
massive.
Yeah.
It's gone from same thing, like that triangulation thing has always stayed.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? And I'll show you it someday, but that's been the mainstay of my rehab process, with majority of injuries anyway, is just train movements that you want to recreate, like. But then I've definitely gone from more of just trying to build bulk to actually going through phases of S&C, like go from hypertrophy phase, maybe 2 hypertrophy phases, 8-week blocks, introduction, then maybe to a strength phase or a maintenance phase, or throw in a bit of contrast, or throw in a bit of, I don't know, a couple of trisets or a circuit. You know, try to keep changing it as well for the client too, and just keep trying to get that buy-in as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll always end up with some sort of like triphasic, that is a block of concentric, a block of isometric, and a block of eccentric first, sorry. A block of isometric and a block of concentric before they go back into play, that you know that they can produce force, and you know then they tolerate maybe a plyometric under fatigue or something along those lines, and landing from a jump off a box after doing like 8 reps of a Bulgarian split squat at half body weight. You know, make sure that knee can tolerate load when it's fatigued.
Yeah.
So my process has changed massively, and I hope it's going to keep changing, like. Because if I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, like there's no growth in me. Do you know what I mean? Whatever about what I've been doing to clients, like I like to kind of try to keep up to date as much as you can. And the industry is changing it's changing massively, like, and the quicker everyone realizes that, like, not everything has to be done to the book. Like, you can do a lot of things yourself. And if you think like an exercise is right for somebody, it probably is right, but you have to kind of logically think about why it's right. Like, do some sort of a test, and every test then is an exercise. You know, do some sort of a test on it, and if you want them to get better in that position, put them into that position and make them work around that position. And if they work on it, they should get better in that position. Like.
Yeah, I'd say so much creativity has actually come into it.
Yeah.
And like actually stressing people in the movements they need to be stressed in.
Yeah, and that's coming from loads of different realms. Like I said, Gary Gray over in America is huge in that. Then you have Gary Ward, who does the anatomy and motion thing with the foot over in England. I did that course as well. That was a good course. But basically that course is Gary Gray stuff, and Gary Gray stuff did that years ago.
Okay.
I asked Gary Ward this, and he's rules of movement as well, and they're basically the same as Gary Gray's. And I actually asked him on the course, I mentioned Gary Gray's, and he's like, no, I don't know him, he said. But they're basically the same thing, to be honest with you. I reckon.
I've seen that Gary Ward, lad. Never heard of Gary Gray.
Gary Gray, I'll show you Gary Gray stuff. Gary Gray stuff is better than Gary Ward's. Gary Ward's is basically a bit more in depth from the foot up and what happens at the foot up, whereas Gary Gray's stuff is more pure movement based.
Yeah.
Then your friends Bosch stuff, that's all your co-contractions, your attractors, that type of stuff, and that's complicated. But that again is just training, running mechanics, training what's going to happen out on the pitch. So like I kind of like reading a lot of that, but like you have to kind of still make up your own things at the end of the day.
Yeah, you've got to piece it together.
You don't just want to be. I know, like obviously, look, social media is a thing now. I saw this exercise on Instagram, I'm going to do that. That's not for everyone. Like, do you know what I mean? And people put up the fancy things on Instagram because their leg is shaking in this position, or do you know what I mean? It looks good. That's not for everyone. Like, do you know what I mean? A leg extension machine can do as much for somebody as a Bulgarian split squat. Just why are you using it? Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's all about context. Like,
yeah.
And certain people, the fancy exercise, they're not going to do them because you might put them into the position here and their leg is vibrating. Oh, geez, we need to work on that. They go home and they're trying to do it and they can't find it. Because you're cueing them where their hip should be. Your hip should be over your knee small, bend. Where's the weight? Weight should be in your midfoot. And don't leave your knee go back, all this kind of stuff. Next thing they go home, like, and they're basically just doing a lunge. And that's just not trained the knee to not, back to the ACL, not trained the knee to not go into extension. Like, that's your co-contraction stuff then. But I don't know, like, you can get fancy with some people, but like some people, the basics is the best thing. Like,
the fundamentals.
Fundamentals, yeah. And it just all depends on context. Like, why are you doing an exercise? Why are you giving an exercise for it? There has to be like a reason for it. There's no point just giving random things. You know, and even like the old physio way of just print off, or go onto this app, I'll give you a clam, I'll give you a glute bridge, I'll give you this. Like, even again, we used to kind of do that type of stuff, just generic exercise, yeah, throw them down. Like, I've gone away from even doing that. Like, when I give a little program, just even in clinic doing a session, like, I'll video the person on their phone of doing them, me talking over it, where I want to push from the foot, what I want them to be thinking about when they're doing an exercise. Like, I'll just write it down on a piece of paper, how many reps, how many sets, all that kind of stuff. But what I really want them to do is listen to the video of me cueing them, but watch themselves do it. Or on the video, I might show you, look, that's what you say a bridge, right? Like, I never train a bridge through a heel anymore because we don't run through the heel. Well, we shouldn't be running through the heel if we're an athlete. Trying to push through the midfoot. Try to push through the midfoot, but as you're bridging, don't bridge through your belly because that's going to be lumbar extension. Try to bridge through the hip and try and get as much hip extension as you possibly can. And if you can cue people to bridge through the foot, lift through the hip, you'll often get hamstring cramp or you'll get really good glute activity, you know, so that type of stuff. So if you can teach people about why they're doing it and where their focus should be, then you'll get a lot more buy-in then through the exercise. Like.
Oh, 100%. And once they start to see the benefit of actually doing those exercises.
Once they understand, I think the understanding thing is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You know, especially like somebody that's more kind of maybe a complex thing. Like, if they understand why you're doing this exercise, why you're doing this sort of movement, and then you get the buy-in with them. Like,
yeah, no, that's
probably the biggest thing. And getting buy-in is probably the biggest thing. Like, because before it was, what did the physio? He gave me a few stretches there. Like, I can't remember the last time I gave somebody a stretch, but they'll still come into me and say, I did those stretches. There wasn't one stretch. It was all like strength or some sort of a movement. Like, but it's just, I don't know, it's the old mantra of physio, that the physio gives you a rub and a few stretches and off you go. But like, we're trying to, it's changing, like, but it's slow changing.
Yeah, exactly, but not everyone else is changing. Not everyone is changing. So it's cool to see that. But you have to keep up to date with it.
You have to read books, you have to go to courses.
Yeah.
You have to be open to change as well. As I said, like, if my programs are the same now in 5 years' time as I'm doing now, then I'd be disappointed with myself, like, that I haven't adapted or I haven't changed my thought process on something. Like.
But that's like a really good mindset to have, because a lot of people get to where they are, think they know it all, then don't want to change.
No, I definitely don't have that.
Yeah.
But and look, 5 years' time you might ask me the same thing and I'd say, yeah, sure, I'm just doing the same thing as well 5 years ago. But I'd be hoping that I'll always have that mindset, that I just want to learn something new even if it's once every 6 months, and you just get a different exercise. And I often think to myself that I have the same exercise and just giving everybody, but if it works, like, you know. And I said, hopefully in 5 years' time there's another exercise that works for everybody as well, and you just start giving that out. You know, but I think the industry always has to change, but it's definitely changing for the better now.
100%, yeah, and it's cool to see that you're so open to it and involved.
But most of the best physios, you know, are actually strength and conditioning coaches, like, because they understand progression, regression. They understand how to get hip extension if you want hip extension, how not to get knee extension if you don't want knee extension. Do you know what I mean? Rather than like physio is just using a little bit of TheraBand and you sit in the edge of the bed, you do a couple of leg extensions. Like, that really doesn't work. Like, You know,
It's just not very transferable.
No, it's not exactly. Yeah, it depends, and that'll do perfect for somebody, but not if you're trying to get back out into the pitch. Like so, I think most physios like they should actually go and do a strength and conditioning course after it, or a sports rehab course after you do your chartered physiotherapy course, because that's when you'll really learn your rehab work. Like,
yeah, sick. Yeah, fascinating. Kenny, anything else you wanted to talk about?
Absolutely not.
Have you emptied it all?
Spend now.
Yeah, I know. So you've 2 kids at home.
Is that your list now?
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, you're
this
done.
Is done.
It's done.
Thank
It's
God.
done. Yeah. 2 kids at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 kids at home. Go home now on the laptop now for about an hour, and write a few programs. For
Never
tomorrow.
stops. Yeah. Thanks so much for
I'll have a cup
joining.
of tea too.
You deserved it.
Sound.
Sound for much for joining us.
No bother.
Yes, for sharing your wisdom.
Good luck.
See you later.
Good luck.